What's good, friends? It's another week and it's another opportunity for me to talk about stuff that I love talking about, which is product management. And just like last week, you submitted a number of questions over email, over Twitter DMs, over the survey, which, by the way, link is right in the description. So if you have more questions, if you go through this video and think, hold on a second, Dan, you never asked the question that I wanted to ask, this is your opportunity to actually ask that question and have it included in future videos. But enough of me blabbering about this stuff. Let's get to the questions. What uncommon skills do I need to be a successful product manager? Is asking this question an uncommon skill? No, because I've never actually had this question asked before. I was the one asking it. But there are three skills that I think are fairly unique, and I have not seen them called out way too often in blog posts when they talk about product management, and that is selling, negotiation, and strategic thinking. Selling, self-explanatory. You just need to be able to sell, and it's not always about just selling a product and convincing others to buy it from you, but it's also about selling ideas. Can you convince somebody that your approach is the right one, and how do you go about it? Do you have the right data? Do you have the right qualitative insights? All those things. Negotiation, same way, it's very close to selling, but the idea is that you should be able to find a compromise with somebody based on understanding of their motivations, their psychology, what drives them, and how exactly you can align what you're trying to do with what this other person or a group of people are trying to accomplish as well. And then the third one is strategic thinking, and that is because there's way too many PMs that focus just so much on the tactical stuff, on the immediate of, I need to build this feature, I need to ship this product, that they forget that there's all in service to a bigger mission that you're probably pursuing. So those three, super important and not as commonly called out. Do I need a computer science degree to be a product manager? That's like expecting a pilot to know how to assemble planes to get their pilot license. Do we really expect them to do this? No, I don't think a computer science degree is a requirement for you to be a successful product manager or program manager or whichever title you want to call it today. A PM job is intentionally broad, right? It covers a lot of different areas, and you can be a product manager for a health startup, you can be a product manager for a construction company, and just the fundamental skill set is about the same, and you can again click link in comments to learn more about what those skills are. But ultimately, it is not all tied to a computer science degree at all. Now, if you're working on a very technical product where you're expected to make decisions on which algorithm to choose to optimize for a specific machine learning model, then yeah, you probably would benefit from having a CS degree, but it's not necessarily a prerequisite, and it's definitely not something that would be a differentiator where you having that is going to be a massive asset in your future career. So take it with a grain of salt with anybody that is trying to sell you that your degree is going to be the pathway to success, because it's probably not just the degree, and there's a lot of stuff that goes behind the scenes that you need to have the skills, the right mentality, the right approach, and your degree comes second to that. What can I do in college to get a PM job without any PM experience? So I'm assuming this is a question asked all the time, actually, and that is the case where what happens if you did not get an internship? What happens if you did not get that opportunity to gain PM skills during the summer? So now you're left with this kind of a catch-22 where to get a PM job, you need PM experience, and to get PM experience, you need a PM job. Well, what you can do is actually do PME stuff in your free time or in the time allotted for your coursework or extracurriculars without the PM title. And what that means, build an app, build a website, start a blog. Maybe you need to start that blog that talks about how pilots should learn how to assemble airplanes. Maybe that's the future if there's customer demand for it. But then again, this is your opportunity to find those customers. How do you do customer research? How do you run a survey and make sure that the data is not biased? How do you collect any kind of data? How do you make decisions based on that data? All those things you can do without working as a PM. You can do that for your personal blog. You can do that for some app that you're building. You can do it for a group project. You can do it for the next system that you're optimizing, your college library. There's a million things you could do, and don't over-index on just the job. There's all these things that you can do to gain those skills outside a job or outside a specific course. How overrated are online PM interview questions? Very overrated. I probably need to record a second clip to this video that just roasts interview questions for PMs that are just terribly, terribly bad. I'd say just don't worry about the questions too much. There's a lot of stuff that they tell you is, gonna be asked. Focus on the core competencies. And again, the skills that I called out earlier were the selling, negotiation, strategic thinking. Those are some of the important ones, but also breaking down a problem, scoping and prioritizing, making sure that you know what needs to happen first, what is second, what is third, and what priority and why. Being able to communicate well with your peers, with your manager, with people that are across different teams and organizations and outside your company. All those things are way, way, way more important than worrying about any specific interview questions, because the mistake that I see a lot of people do is they will learn the interview question and they will try to recite it or try to think of some framework they read about. And the reality is that it doesn't matter. The framework doesn't matter. It's how you get to the solution and how you think about getting to the solution, because you might not even get to it. And just remember that the 90% of the stuff that you will need to learn about the PM job, you will learn on the job. If I think about my career, all the things that I do now, most of them I never read a book about. It's stuff that I just kept doing and doing and doing and doing. And you'll do the same. This is why focusing on core competencies first before you focus on any questions is going to be probably the most important thing you can do if you're preparing for PM interviews. How often do I need to worry about my promotion? About as often as you worry about renewing your gym membership. So once in 5, 10 years. It's actually something that is very important, and it's something that you need to talk to your manager about. So set the expectations and then have those regular check-ins when you talk about, are you on track? Are you not on track? And the period will vary depending on the team, depending on the organization, the company. So if you're within a tech company, your promotion velocity is probably going to be a little bit different than if you work in government or in healthcare. So all those are important things to consider, but step one is remember that your manager is the gatekeeper for your promotion. So make sure that you're aligned, you're on the same page with what needs to happen for you to be on the next level. And the second thing here is that you are your own best advocate. So make sure that you're bringing it up at regular intervals, probably not every week, not even every month, but say once a quarter or once in 6 months. That's what I do. And just mention that you were expecting to grow and you want to get to the next level and you want to know how to do that. And your manager should be able to articulate what exactly is expected of you to be at that level. And then once you have that information, you can execute. And that part is relatively straightforward at that point, because now you know what needs to happen. And then you're just going through the steps, and it might not always be very clear as to what the steps are. But remember, your skill as a PM is to break down a problem. That's a problem you need to break down. So you're going to be PMing a PM. That's like PM Inception, but for your career, I guess. But anyway, so promotions is something that you need to think about regularly. You need to advocate for yourself, and you need to align with your manager on what those expectations are. And I do want to call out that something that people don't often think about, but if you often feel like you are stuck and you are just not being promoted to the level you expect to be, then it could be an opportunity to look at external ways to get to the level that you want to. So look for other teams, look for other organizations, look for other companies, and that might be an avenue worth pursuing if you care about that career growth and just stepping to the next level on that ladder. And this is kind of it for this week's questions, and I'm excited to see what questions will happen next week, and I promise you that I'll have a separate roast bad PM questions set of interviews that I'll probably be conducting in the future. So stay tuned for those. Hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next week.